Karoline Leavitt is not someone you underestimate. She's smart, self-assured, and never backs down. If you're planning to challenge her, you might want to think again because she doesn't rattle easily, and she always comes prepared.
Considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now.
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star.
Jasmine finally got a reality check and, frankly, it was long overdue. After some of her recent comments, it was only a matter of time before people pushed back. And she's not alone. Karine Jean-Pierre is also in hot water. During a recent press briefing, the pressure was intense. Reporters came at her with tough questions, and this time, there was no sidestepping or spinning her way out. The criticism hit hard, and it's clear both women are now being held accountable for what they say and how they say it.
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie.
That's why. Today we're taking a moment to highlight when Karoline didn't just answer her critics, she shut them down, completely and confidently. No hesitation, no holding back. Her responses were sharp, bold, and impossible to ignore. These moments stood out for a reason. So stay tuned, this is something you'll definitely want to see.
I believe that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself.
And she's right. Jasmine's views don't feel real, they come off more like an act. Sadly, it's a trend we've seen before from big-name Democrats. Think back to Hillary's basket of deplorables or Biden dismissing half the country. What used to spark outrage now gets brushed aside. It's become routine. If the message fits their side, it gets a free pass. Up next, Jerome Powell's in the spotlight and Karoline came ready with the facts.
I would remind the Fed chair, and I would remind the entire world, that this is a president who was a businessman first, and he knows what he is doing. He has a proven economic formula that worked in his first term as president, and it is working again. The one problem that remains is high interest rates for the American people. The American people want to borrow money cheaply, and they should be able to do that. But unfortunately, we have interest rates that are still too high. So the president sent this note to the Fed chair today. And if you look at this chart, this is a chart of all of the interest rates of many countries throughout the world are all paying lower interest rates than the United States of America, which has one of the hottest and strongest economies in the world. The president sent this note to the Fed chair. It says, "Jerome, you are as usual too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being lost and there is no inflation." And the president is right. There is historically low inflation thanks to his policy.
All started when Jerome Powell doubled down on keeping interest rates high and tried to blame Trump's tariffs for it. That didn't sit well. The backlash came fast, and now there's growing pressure for him to resign. Plenty of people have spoken out, but Karoline raised the bar. She used the president's own words to call out Powell, and her response was direct, sharp, and impossible to ignore. But that wasn't even the biggest moment. What really caught everyone's attention was what came next as CNN reporter got called out over a so-called intelligence leak. This wasn't just pushback, it was a full-on takedown.
Said that the DIA report was low confidence intel. Can you share what other assessments are currently underway to get to the bottom of just how effective these strikes were?
Yes, well, I can assure you what the CIA director said, that when we look at the entirety of the intelligence that we have to this date, it concludes that these strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities were absolutely successful. It was a total obliteration, as the president said, and not only does our own intelligence say that, but also the Iranian foreign minister has said that. We saw Israel conclude the same thing based on their own intelligence. We also had the United Nations say that as well. So I think the only other time the United Nations, Israel, Iran, and the United States has agreed on something is that the sky is blue, but they all agree that Iran's nuclear facilities were completely demolished.
Let's be real, no legit intel agency would leak real assessments, especially about something as serious as Iran. But CNN ran with reports claiming the mission failed. based on questionable leaks. The story took off fast, even though the facts were shaky. The Pentagon and FBI stepped in, saying the info was low confidence and shouldn't have been treated as fact. That's a big problem.
But I believe the FBI is investigating to find out who that leaker was, because it's illegal and they should be held accountable for that. Leaked bits and pieces of an intel assessment to push a false narrative. And it's to the same reporter, I will add, Natasha Bertrand of CNN, who has done this in the past. In 2020, it was Natasha Bertrand who had 51 intelligence analysts falsely lie to her, but she still put it on paper for some reason, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. We all know that's not true, right? We can all agree on that now. That was a lie from the intelligence community. And so this is a reporter who has been unfortunately used by people who dislike Donald Trump in this government to push fake and false narratives. She should be ashamed of herself. And that's not what reporting is. Journalism is trying to find the facts and the truth, and this week we saw this same reporter being used to push a fake narrative to try to undermine the President of the United States, and more importantly, the brave fighter pilots who conducted one of the most successful operations in United States history.
She said it perfectly these days. It's more about being first than being right. Faster a story spreads, the more clicks and ad dollars it brings in. But in that rush, accuracy takes a backseat. Then the media wonders why trust is down and ratings are falling. The fix isn't hard, just stick to the facts. That's how you earn credibility. Up next, Karoline takes a direct shot at her predecessor after Karine Jean-Pierre made a strange comparison between today's press access and how things work in North Korea.
Predecessor Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, "What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing." What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press pool system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
It's hard not to see the irony when Karine Jean-Pierre talks about press freedom. Under her watch, more than 440 journalists lost access to the White House press pool. On top of that, reporters often had to submit questions ahead of time, undermining the whole point of a live briefing. And if anything unexpected or uncomfortable came up, it was usually brushed aside. So when she speaks about protecting the press or free speech, it's tough to take her seriously.
Macron of France earlier today said that tariffs levied by powerful countries are often a form of blackmail, and criticized the sort of process that's underway. He didn't mention the United States specifically, but said that these tariffs are really hurting developing countries. So there's this big UN conference going on. What do you say to that?
I think the president and the White House would certainly reject that characterization by Prime Minister Macron. Tariffs are an effective use of presidential power to bring back the middle class, to bring back our manufacturing industry, which was the backbone of our American economy and has been hollowed out by globalist politicians who have caved to foreign countries instead of doing what's right for American workers. That's why the president is effectively utilizing his authority to wage tariffs and to utilize tariffs, and continues to be in discussions and negotiations on trade to do what's right for America. And Europe and the rest of the world might not be used to that, but President Trump is back in town and he's going to do what's right for our people and our country.
No disrespect, but President Macron is something else. Not long ago, he was calling for the EU to get tough on China with a trade war. Meanwhile, many developing nations, especially in Africa, are still struggling under heavy tariffs from France and the EU. So maybe hold off on the lectures and save the grand gestures for your next fancy summit. I'd love to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this video useful, feel free to share it. It really helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.